Welcome back to the Migraine Mentors, everybody. Hope you're having a great week so far. It's just going to be you and I today. My name is Dr. Thompson Mayasaka. So if you found me through TikTok, also known as the Headache Whisperer, and we are going to talk about a topic today that we see clinically very, very frequently, that being depression and migraine. So looking into the links between the two, trying to figure out which one do you go after first, just sort of talk about all of the things that contribute to those two kind of running together. So it's actually fairly well established that migraine and depression happen together, both, clinically. I've correlated those two together a lot, and it's actually quite a bit of research around it as well. If we go to the research, we find that people with depression are 3.4 times more likely to develop migraine. On the opposite side, people with migraine are 5.8 times more likely to develop depression over a span of about 2 years. So they call this a bidirectional relationship. So if you fix one, you improve the other. So it kind of sucks at face value that they both kind of go together, because both individually are pretty rough. But it is good news, because if you treat one, you can oftentimes influence the other. That's kind of what we're going to talk about today, and sort of just draw the correlation between the two. So really at face value, like, it doesn't take a research paper to draw that conclusion, right? Like, migraine, especially if you're having them over a really long period of time, there's so much about it that leads you to be more sort of to act like a depressed person, not necessarily be depressed, but, I've met a lot of people that one of the first things they tell me is, I don't do anything. I cancel plans all the time. I don't go on trips. I don't go to concerts. I don't do many things, because I'm afraid if I go out, especially the ones that get really strong visual auras, it is terrifying to be driving a car and to get those. I was actually driving a car the first time I ever got my first migraine aura. I'm one of the fortunate ones to have something called ocular migraines. All I get is an aura about 2-3 times a year. Then I kind of just feel tired and hungover after. I don't get a lot of the pain. But I can totally relate to somebody not wanting to really go out and venture out and do things when, first and foremost, half your vision's going to go away, and then you're going to get hit with all of these symptoms. So even just that, even just avoiding situations that are going to lead to an attack in public, especially if like aphasia and brain fog are part of your presentation, it's kind of embarrassing to be in mid-conversation with somebody and just completely look like you can't form sentences. So over years and years of experiencing these types of things, it makes sense that over time, people will generally tend to avoid social situations and fun things they used to do. And it kind of makes you mourn the previous life that you had until you get better, of course, which is also what we're going to talk about. We're not going to just have a huge downer of an episode today. And then when we do go into the brain research, there's actually a ton of correlation between the two. You can look at it from a structural standpoint, that people with both conditions have reduced gray and white matter. Just means the thickness of your brain and the places that connect the two. And genetics plays a pretty huge role as well. Generally, if your parents have depression, migraine, or both, they will more commonly than not pass those down. And then just from a neurotransmitter perspective, we know individually most people associate depression with a lack of serotonin. It's a little bit more complex than that, but similar to that in migraine, a lack of serotonin production, dopamine has a pretty big role. Norepinephrine has a huge role. So all of these neurochemical imbalances tend to show up on both sides of the fence as well. So if you're curious out there, if you don't want to necessarily go to a psychologist or, go down the formal mental health rabbit hole, there's a few pretty easy questionnaires that you can look up online. One of them is called the PHQ-9. It's for depression. And the other one is called the GAD-7, which is for anxiety. And it's basically just fill it out, and it helps you understand really just how severe it is. I'm of the opinion that if you've had migraine for a long time, you're going to be anxious and you're going to be a little bit bummed. It's just kind of part of it. I haven't met somebody that didn't at least have a little of each, especially if you're having upwards of 15 attacks a month. That's when it just gets, you can't really have one without the other, in my opinion. So when we get to that point, there are a few things that we can do to sort of just push you in the direction that tends to help both. One of them is called cognitive behavioral therapy, really good for anxiety and depression. We don't do this formally at the clinic, but oftentimes when people are really struggling with these anxiety components, a lot of times I'll have them just fill out sort of almost a prerequisite to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, that just helps you identify when I'm feeling anxious, where am I? What am I doing? What are the things around me? And what it does is it really helps you understand the triggers for your anxiety. It helps you identify trends of, oh, I always have a migraine in this room. So when I'm in this room, I get anxious, is a good example. It can be a really helpful tool to explore more self-awareness. And there's also a ton of apps and therapies online that use this. It's one of the more well-established therapies in the mental health world. So you don't necessarily have to go, hire a psychologist or a shrink. You can still get a lot of the value just by doing it yourself. And this one, I don't want to say it's controversial because it's extremely effective, but it sometimes gets lumped in that bucket of just really annoying advice people give you when they're like, oh yeah, I get headaches, I drink water, or I'm super stressed out and anxious. Like, well, just meditate. Meditation is an incredible tool. I have been a regular meditator my entire adult life. Actually used to do something called neurofeedback, which is like fancy meditation. I'm super, super into it. And I do think it has a place in the management of these really chronic conditions. There's a lot of research that it helps with pain management, ton of research for anxiety and depression. If you're new to it, just Google guided mindfulness meditation. That'll kind of get you started. The simple version, the way that I like to do it, especially if you're just starting out, is sit down with a pen and a piece of paper. Close your eyes, focus on your breathing, and then as soon as you recognize that, and it will happen usually pretty quickly, that your thoughts just start racing off, it's going to happen. It still happens to me. You just redirect it back. And every time you're able to successfully redirect your attention back to your breathing, you put a mark on the paper. And so initially, you'll either have a ton of them, or you'll just literally think for 10 minutes and then you're like, I didn't do anything. The goal over time is to eventually get much better and faster at going, oh, supposed to be focused on my breathing. And then that skill is in fact the exact skill and tool that you use in real life. So if you find yourself starting to get anxious or depressed, you can kind of catch that emotion quickly before it has a chance to kind of settle into your body. And that is the mechanism that helps you kind of self-regulate your emotional state. And that's the goal to get to. It can be incredibly helpful in managing both depression and anxiety. So I would give that a shot. There's also a few other techniques, transcendental meditation, or it's sometimes referred to as quiet mind. That's the one I prefer. Really, really helpful for anxiety. I think is one of the reasons why I think it's so tied to depression is because of how poorly everybody understands it. So it's, and then past that, one of the sort of more self-guided ways that you can start to help your, depression, anxiety, and migraine is hugely linked to migraine frequency is work on your sleep. Sleep is the great equalizer. And typically with anxiety and migraine, sleep suffers greatly. So if you're having issues sleeping, great place to start is something called the 3-2-1 rule. So don't eat 3 hours before bed. Try and dim the lights down and stop working 2 hours before bed, and then no screen time. I like to say 2 hours before bed also, but an hour before bed is technically what a 3-2-1 rule entails. Also, there is a huge amount of research on body temperature in falling asleep. So if your body temperature is elevated, it will typically be harder to sleep. So a lot of people find a lot of value in taking a warm shower, which elevates your temperature, which then causes your body to start to drop it, which then can help you initiate sleep faster. Not affiliated with this product at all. I just use it and I love it because I just recently started tracking my sleep with this ring, and it's single-handedly been the most effective thing. It's a supplement a Lifetime Fitness makes called Dream. It's magnesium glycinate, magnesium, 3 forms of magnesium, and L-theanine is really all it is. Really helpful for me. Focusing on your sleep is a really nice way to kind of hit both buckets, and it's just going to make you feel better all around. It helps your HPA axis, which is, in my opinion, one of the core issues with migraine, which we'll have whole other episodes on in the past and in the future. So that should get you started if you're dealing with one of these things. If you're dealing with both of them, actually, depression and migraine. And last thing I'll leave you with is, you've heard us say it before, is you are not alone. There are so many people in the same boat wrestling with both of these things. And a lot of times, just being around those people or joining a support group can be helpful. I was a moderator in a support group for a while. So, my word of caution would be try and find one where people are uplifting you and supporting you. They can quickly turn into what my wife called wine lines, where people just complain about how bad it is and then it just gets really depressing really fast. So if you are going to go that route, maybe it's just a few people also that is a little bit more close knit of a community. That can be really helpful because carrying this burden, especially both burdens, if you're fighting them both alone, is just an unnecessary struggle. There's so much support out there. And most of the time, the people that are in the same boat just want to help. So, hope that helps. If you have any questions, please message us. Dr. Reese at the Neural Connection, Dr. Mayasaka at the Neural Connection. That's Maesaka. And Dr. Reese is Reis. And we're here to help. We're still doing this. I think this is our 1 year anniversary. We've posted this every single week, and we're going to continue to do so because you guys are reading it, you guys are watching and engaging. Hopefully that means you're getting value out of it, which is the only reason we're doing this. We're not doing this to make money. We're doing this to help you guys. We're doing this because we genuinely want to put this information into the hands of people that need it. So we're the Migraine Mentors. Again, my name is Dr. Mayasaka. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe below. If you are subscribed, thank you for your support, and we'll see you next week.